Is it true that after the version 3 update, HYSILENS is able to revive the DOT team again? During the beta phase, HYSILENS actually did not perform badly. In fact, she was good enough to bring DOT teams back into the meta. However, some players still felt unsatisfied because she did not bring anything truly new to the archetype and heavily relied on Kafka to function at her best. Now that version 3 is here, will her updated kit still allow DOT teams to be shine again? And more importantly, does she still absolutely need Kafka to work properly? In this video, I'll break down all the changes to HYSILENS kit and also include some possible builds that might suit her, along with a few characters that synergize well with her. But before we dive in, don't forget to like in this video and subscribe to Cat Balani's channel. Now that you have done that, let's get into the video. HYSILENS is a 5-star limited physical character who walks the path of nihility. Naturally, the best team archetype to pair with her is, of course, DOT. Staying true to her path, HYSILENS specializes in inflicting debuffs on enemies, one of which increases the enemy's damage taken, while also creating a zone that reduces their attack and defense stats. She can also apply Bleed DOT instances when enemies are already taking damage from other DOTs. But what really makes her special is this: every time she uses a skill, basic attack, or ultimate, she applies another DOT to enemies, prioritizing DOTs that haven't been inflicted yet. On top of that, whenever her allies attack, they will also help inflict different types of DOT thanks to her passive. Her base stats includes 601 attack and 102 speed, while the bonus stats gained as she levels are attack, speed, and effect hit rate. The first major change is to her ultimate. She still creates the same zone that reduces enemies' attack by 15% and defense by 25%, but now the damage multiplier has been nerfed. It only deals physical damage equal to 200% of her attack to all enemies. However, there's a silver lining here. Her energy cost was reduced from 130 to 110, making her ultimate significantly more accessible to and more consistent in battle. And this change is not random, it ties directly into how crucial her ultimate has become for supporting her team's damage output, especially when you look at her updated traces. Previously, her first trace would automatically deploy the ultimate zone at the start of the battle for 3 turns. Still the same now, but here's what's new. Every time she creates this zone, she now restores 1 skill point to the team. That's a huge win for DOT teams, especially if you are running Kafka. Kafka acts as a DOT detonator. She triggers the dots applied to enemies using her abilities, particularly her skill to maintain steady damage. But because she wants to spam her skill every time she takes turn, it ends up draining the team's SP very quickly. That's why this SP regen from HYSILENS is extremely appreciated in a Kafka-based DOT team comp. And it's even better now thanks to her lower energy cost for her ultimate. Now onto the second trace, which also received a massive rework. Before, whenever an ally attacked, HYSILENS had the best chance to inflict random dots on their target. But now, every time she uses her ultimate, all dots previously applied on enemies will instantly detonate, dealing damage equal to 150% of the original dot damage. To put this into perspective, this multiplier is even higher than Kafka's ultimate. This update significantly boosts HYSILENS' overall damage contribution to the team. If you are familiar with her old EIDOLON 1, yes, that's right. Detonation effect and skill point regeneration used to be locked behind E1, but the devs made the smart move of bringing both into her base kit. But with this change, you might be wondering, does that mean she can no longer apply dots through ally attacks like before? Luckily, the answer is no. She still has that functionality, but it's been moved into her talent. Originally, her talent only let HYSILENS apply additional dots when she herself attacked, but after the update, it now also includes her allies' attack, meaning her whole team can help spread dots to enemies passively just by attacking. Since HYSILENS' old EIDOLON 1 is now part of her base kit, what happens to her new EIDOLON 1? Well, her new EIDOLON 1 now enhances dot damage across the board. While she's on the battlefield, all dot damage dealt by her teammates is increased to 124% of its original value. This means everyone's damage, including Kafka's, get a solid boost as long as HYSILENS is present. Meanwhile, her former EIDOLON 2 has been moved to EIDOLON 4 and vice versa. In my personal opinion, the best EIDOLON overall is still EIDOLON 6 because it allows her physical dot to trigger up to 12 times, giving her a massive damage spike. But of course, for the majority of players, E6 is not realistic due to budget constraints. That's why I recommend going for EIDOLON 2 instead. It's the best balance of value and power. With E2, all team members including Kafka get a massive 90% boost to their dot damage, making it viable to run a triple dot comp without worrying about falling behind in overall output. HYSILENS fully enables and empowers the entire dot team just from this EIDOLON alone. But let's be honest, even without any eidolons, HYSILENS is already a very solid unit. After watching several showcases online, what really matters is now how good your relic investment is, prioritizing strong substats over eidolons. That said, if you are still planning to pull for her eidolons, I would say stopping at E2 is more than enough. It gives you incredible value without going overboard. So what's better, HYSILENS Eidolon 1 or her signature LIGHTCONE? To be honest, go for the signature LIGHTCONE. Back in her beta version, her Eidolon 1 was crucial because it boosts her damage and gave the team skill point recovery. But now that it's part of her base kit, there's no reason to chase E1 anymore. Her signature LIGHTCONE has not changed. It still gives 40% effect hit rate and each attack inflicts entrailment, a unique effect that increases dot damage taken by enemies by up to 30%, stacking with each debuff the user applies. The damage difference is quite noticeable. HYSILENS with E0 and her signature LC actually outperforms an E1 HYSILENS using Sampo's LC with max refinement, with around 14% more total damage. What relics are the best for HYSILENS? Let's break it down. When we talk about dot teams, there's really only one relic set that makes sense right now, and that's Prisoner in Deep Confinement. Not only does the 2-piece bonus give you attack increase, which HYSILENS absolutely appreciates, the 4-piece effects allows dot damage to ignore a percentage of the enemy's defense, up to 18% if you have 3 different types of dot active. This bonus alone makes it the go-to relic set for any serious dot team. So yes, if you are building a dot comp, this is your sign to go back to farming this relic set, because for a smooth, consistent dot setup, you will need high speed and a high effect hit rate, which, let's be honest, are not that easy to roll. Are there other options? Surprisingly, yes, there are alternatives. Eagle of Twilight Line is still a viable secondary choice. This relic grants action advance by 25% whenever the user casts their ultimate, essentially mimicking the effect of the LIGHTCONE Dance 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 at max refinement. And since HYSILENS now has reduced energy cost, she can actually use this effect more consistently, especially when paired with LIGHTCONES that boost energy regen. So if you want to build a faster cycling HYSILENS with quick access to her ultimate, Eagle set is not a bad idea, just not the most optimal in pure damage output. Now onto the planar ornaments. Revelry by the Sea, the new planar set, is arguably the best for dot builds right now. HYSILENS benefits heavily from this due to the high attack increase and the new Kafka traits that boost attack based on effect hit rate. These conditions make it easy to activate Revelry bonus, which increases dot damage output directly. Revelry might be the newest planar, so it might take time to farm good pieces. In the meantime, you can go with Space Sailing Station if you still need raw attack and meet the speed threshold. Glamoth, great choice if your team runs fast, and yes, dot teams often reach 160 speed if your relics are strong enough. The main stats you should aim for is effect hit rate for the body piece. Not only does this ensure your debuffed land, it also triggers one of HYSILENS traces, which converts effect hit rate into bonus dot damage. For boots, you should use speed, no debate here. You want to rotate fast, generate energy, and trigger more dots. Thunder Spear, physical damage bonus. And finally, the rope, ideally attack percent, but if you are focused on cycling her ultimate more often, like for force proccing dots and generating SP, then energy regen is a very viable alternative. The best LIGHTCONE choice is obviously her signature. As already discussed, with this LC, HYSILENS can gain additional effect hit rate, increase the dot damage taken by enemies even further, and also boost the speed of her teammates or herself. Actually, Kafka's signature LIGHTCONE can also be used for HYSILENS, since Kafka's current best in slot LC is before the tutorial starts. If her signature LC is currently unused, you can equip it on HYSILENS. But with the note that this LC does not help fulfill HYSILENS effect hit rate requirement. Another 5-star option is Black Swan signature LC, especially in situations where you accidentally pulled the LC without owning the character. Since HYSILENS can inflict different types of dot, the passive from Black Swan signature LC will also be easily activated. Same goes for Jiao Chu's LC. This can be good, but only if you don't have the unit but do have the LC instead. As for the 4-star options, they are actually more viable, like Eyes of the Prey, which can help with the effect hit rate requirement while also increasing HYSILENS damage. Before the tutorial mission starts is also a good option. However, since Kafka is basically guaranteed to use this LC, it's better to use Eyes of the Prey for HYSILENS instead. Other options like Good Night and Sleep Well, Sweating Pearls, Fermata, It's Showtime, The Holiday Escapade are actually fine to use on HYSILENS too, but do keep in mind that those LCs don't help increase the effect hit rate. So really, the best 4-star choice is Eyes of the Prey or at least Sweating Pearls. Since HYSILENS is an Nihility type character and will be playing around dot, that's why actually all dot characters in the game synergize well with her, but Kafka takes it to the next level. Kafka can force trigger dot effects on enemies even when their turn has not started yet. Thanks to the buffs given by the developers, Kafka now has easier access to contributing higher damage, which comes from her follow-up attack. Not only that, HYSILENS will also easily gain a 100% attack bonus thanks to one of Kafka's traces. That gives a large amount of attack if her teammates' effect hit rate reach 75%. And here, it's certain that HYSILENS will be using effect hit rate on her relic body piece. But does HYSILENS still need Kafka even though she herself can force trigger dots through her ultimate? The answer is yes. To maximize damage output, it's highly recommended that you have Kafka on your account if you want to invest further into HYSILENS. Not to mention permanent content that is very vulnerable to HP inflation, so you might want to maximize your dot team comp starting from now by using Kafka as HYSILENS' primary ally. Aside from Kafka, Black Swan, whose performance had previously fallen off, may now be seeing a comeback. With her defense reduction and vulnerability debuff that apply at the start of the enemy's turn, HYSILENS dot damage can become much more impactful. Not to mention, Black Swan's unique Arcana dot can contribute extra triggers toward HYSILENS' physical dot from her ultimate zone. Besides using a full 3-member dot team, you can also replace Black Swan with one Harmony unit like Run Mei, 3B, or even Robin. As for sustain options, it's better to go with characters who are aggressive in nature, such as Hyacinth, Gallagher, or Aventurine. This is because they can attack frequently, giving HYSILENS more chances to inflict dots consistently every time her allies attack. Hyacinth can attack more often through her Mama Sprite, and she only needs to spam her basic attack every time her turn is up, since we don't really need her ultimate uptime when fighting in a team that doesn't need a max HP buff, which is a dot team. With high speed, she can also generate more skill points for the team. Gallagher contributes via his basic, ultimate, and enhanced basic attack. He is also a very SP friendly unit. He can also help recover one of team members' energy regen by using Quid Pro Quo. Another abundance unit like Huahuo is also very good for dot team composition, but she's not as SP friendly as Gallagher. Aventurine can trigger follow-up attacks, especially against enemies that hit frequently. So should you pull for HYSILENS? The answer is it depends. Looking ahead, we'll be getting 3 different DPS types, each with their own distinct team comps. 5 non-variants with Seridra and the rumored future Danheng variant, the new March 7 with Cyrene, and of course HYSILENS with other dot-based allies. So you should invest wisely in one of these team comps. If you are really interested in pulling HYSILENS and want to dive back into dot playstyle, especially if you already own Kafka, then yes, I recommend pulling HYSILENS along with her signature LIGHTCONE. You can always pick up Black Swan later as a support piece, but the most important piece for dot teams is still Kafka. On the other hand, if you are still unsure and don't have Kafka, then it's probably better to invest in other team types for now. However, if you are truly committed to building a dot team from scratch, you can start pulling Kafka E0S0 first, and then HYSILENS complete with her signature LC. Is HYSILENS a must-pull unit? If you are building a dot team, absolutely. But keep in mind, Kafka is still the backbone of any successful dot comp, and will remain so for at least the next few patches. So that's everything about the version 3 rework for HYSILENS, along with the possible builds you can run and what to start preparing. Are you happy with the changes to her kit, or do you think HYSILENS still needs a buff, or even a nerf? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.